Yeah. Good afternoon. Welcome back to Cool Your Heels with Lillian Caldwell. Cool Your Heels is showing on Global Media Network, LLC, on Passionate World Talk Radio, a subsidiary of Global Media Network. Today we have a very special guest. His name is Levi Torres, and he's with High Five Plumbing. And we're going to talk about how the trades is just as good, if not better, than the white collar worker positions that are opening in this country. So good afternoon, Levy. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Lillian?
I am doing quite well. And I know you may have had a lot of discussions on this, but we're going to bring our audience up to date. What exactly turned off the United States on its attitude towards people working in blue collar jobs?
Well, in my opinion, like I said, everybody has an opinion on why it happened. But with me, I grew up, my dad was a plumber. He was in the plumbing industry his entire life for the most part, so he owned a plumbing company that he started in 1979. So I grew up in the trade. So I kind of saw how it was a rewarding career for my dad. So I never questioned it, but one thing I did notice is I grew up in the industry, so I saw how rewarding it was. But at the time I was getting ready to graduate high school, there was a very big picture painted in the world, like just kind of across the world, that if you didn't go to college, you weren't going to be successful. Like that was just kind of the picture. And so I graduated in the year 2003, and at that time they were pretty much saying like, dang, if you choose not to go to college, you're not going to become successful. And so I think naturally it put a fear into people that they didn't have a chance to be successful unless they went that education route, which the trades is kind of opposite. You still have to go educate yourself, but you get paid to do it. So in my opinion, that's where I think it started to go sideways, is when college started to become like the only way to become a successful professional.
Well, I think too, I was born in the 50s, so that tells you, I'm probably your parents' age. But moving right along, we were taught that if you didn't go to college, you wouldn't go anywhere. But I wasn't the college material, so I sort of pleased my parents and took out a 2-year degree. And people with 2-year degrees got just as much discriminated against as people who have a high school diploma. And what I could never understand was I worked for one of the major oil and gas companies, but I worked with the HVAC and the plumbing and the carpentry. And I know these folks, to get certified, you had to go to school and take courses. You had to be good in math. You had to have a good scientific mind. You had to problem solve, and you have to critically think. So how different is that from a white collar position?
It's not. There's not much difference at all. And and that's why, like I said, I think that's where the biggest problem came is that, like I said, it was looked at like you were not as smart, or not gonna be as successful, or couldn't make as much money as if you didn't go that route. So naturally people didn't choose that route. Most people that are in the plumbing industry right now fell into that industry, or if they're in electrical or HVAC, it's because they didn't go to college and they needed to make money, and so they went and got a job. And so most people in the industry didn't choose plumbing; it kind of chose them.
So are you reaching out now to the schools, high schools?
Yeah. So we started to get involved with career days, and really what we've tried to do is to show people that there's just another route to becoming successful. Like it's still going to be hard work. It's not like it's easy. It's still going to be, stresses. There's stresses either way, but there's other opportunities. There's other chances to become successful. And so, we actually have an apprentice program here at High Five Plumbing where, you can start with us green with zero plumbing knowledge. And within 24 months, you could be in a position to be making over $100,000. And so it's, like I said, we've had five people go through our complete program from green to residential licensed plumbers in 24 months.
That's really good, because I was going to ask you, do you have something like an intern program where you can encourage young people to come in, at least take a look and see what's offered to them, what's available. And it's not so quite a thing whether you like it or not, because I only know one person who really loved his job, and that's my son, who's a commercial graphic artist. And he's been drawing all his life. And I think he's the happiest person I ever met because he's doing what he really, really wants to do. And I think that's wonderful. I don't know of too many other people who've had that type of experience and can turn around and say, yeah, Lillian, I really love my job. I can't wait to get up in the morning. I don't hear that anymore.
Yeah. I think really people have to create their own passion. Like I said, most people are in the job that they're in or the career they're in, most likely not because they chose it. But most people, it's like there was an availability and they worked up in the company or, but once again, I think you have to create your own passion. And so that's really what I think it starts with. Like if we can show these younger generations that, listen, if you can create passion in any industry. You don't have to go to college. Don't feel pressured to do that. Like I said, yes, I entice higher learning. I have kids of my own. I actually have a senior in high school this year, and the way what I tell her is, listen, if you want to go to college to just get more education, then 100% please do that, because there's certain things that you just can't learn unless you go get more education. But don't expect it to be your career. Like, don't go to college and expect that whatever you went to go get that education on in college, don't expect it to be your lifelong career, because very rarely does that happen. And so if you want to go get more education, then 100% I'll support you with that. But like I said, I'm not against college. I just think that it needs to be very much shown that there is other options. Like, my dad's your age. And he told me that when he was growing up in high schools were a little bit more involved in telling you, like, if you didn't have good grades, they would straight up tell you, like, hey, you probably shouldn't go to college. You're going to struggle. It's not going to be fun. It's going to be more, you should probably look at the trades. And that's not a thing anymore. Now they're just forcing kind of everybody to college, whether they're good students or not, and whether school is for them or not. And I think, if we went back more to that, to where our institutes actually helped push and guide the kids to what they feel would be good for them, I think that would help as well.
When I went to school, they had something called shop, and they don't offer that anymore, I know, but I would think that it would be a good idea. I know that more than 2/3 of the trades are retiring now because they're my age or whatever. That was an article on one of the Washington Post, I believe. And I would think that it would make sense if a group of tradesmen got together and talk to the local principals and say, why can't we have a trades class where we can start introducing those students who are interested in going into trades and letting them see what is available, what they think they might be interested in, and see whether or not they would have an aptitude for that, but at least get them somewhat interested and to try their hand at it. Because I was coerced to go to college because I was giving that long song and dance. And it's fine if you're a bright student or that's what you really wanted, but I wasn't a good student. And I just went because it was better to say yes, okay, fine, than, to be yelled at and say, oh, you're a failure and all that other stuff. So things have really changed in 40 or 50 years, especially for your generation and the one that's coming up.
Yeah. And when I graduated, Lillian, I was actually on the other side of the spectrum. Like, I was a great student. Like, I had good grades. I got accepted to every college that I applied to. I was the other end of the spectrum, to where then people were like, oh man, he's going to go to college. He's going to get his degree. That's what he's going to do. And I did. I went to college. I went to a university for a semester. And it wasn't until I got my bill for that first semester that I was kind of like, well, wait a minute, I already have enough hours to be a residential licensed plumber. And if I wasn't at school, I would have made this much money.
Yeah.
And I got charged this much. And literally the next day I quit. I went to plumbing the next day. It didn't make sense to me, the fact that I could have made 3 times as much as I just got charged to be there learning, and I would have had it in my bank account. And so I was that student that then when I dropped out of college, you can imagine that it was a horrible thing because I dropped out of college to go become a plumber. And so it's really cool to see, like, and that's what I love about it is my story is the opposite, where I could have went to any college I chose, any university I wanted to go to. But yet I made a different decision, and yet I still consider myself a very successful individual.
That's terrific. So let's leave our listening audience with some words of wisdom from a plumber, second generation, who loves his job, sounds like he does, and sounds like he picked up some wisdom along the way.
Yeah, definitely. What I always tell people is, when you get into the plumbing industry, you got to realize that it's the first couple of years is going to be hard. It's designed to be that way. You're naturally going to have to do some of the stuff that other people don't want to do. But like I said, if you can get through that first 24 months of plumbing, then the rest of your career is pretty rewarding after that first learning stage. And so, like I said, if you have any questions, you could reach out to High Five Plumbing. We gladly can point you in a direction. We have connections with businesses across the country that also run similar apprentices programs to we do. So definitely have a lot of connections to get people into the trades if they want to.
Do you have a Gmail that they can, or I suspect you have a website that they could look you up and get your contact information that way?
Yeah, so the best way to find us is on all the social media platforms. So you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. It's just at High Five Plumbing and all of those. You could also go to our website at High Five Plumbing, or it's www.highfiveplumbing.com. But yeah, mostly social media is the easiest, quickest way to find us to find out some answers about where you could potentially get into apprentice programs.
Terrific. Well, thank you very much. I think this is an important conversation. Not a lot of people really talk about it, but I think they need to be aware of it because there are other alternatives besides just going to college. And I think that people really need to realize that and also give their kids an opportunity to see what else is out there. So thank you very much for your time. Ladies and gentlemen, you can listen to this program on all our major social media, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and you can always go over to the website, https://passionateworldtalkradio.com, and there is an on-demand player, and you will hear that and see that on YouTube as well. So thank you all very much for listening, and remember, please stick around and keep listening. Thank you.